You've been told your whole life to be open, to share your truth, to speak from the heart. That honesty is the path to connection. But here's the cold reality. That's a trap. It's a story told by people who profit from your openness. Manipulators who nod and smile as you hand them weapons in the form of your words. A world that praises transparency one moment, then punishes you the second you reveal too much. Niccolo Machiavelli saw this centuries ago. He understood that in the game of power, connection is a luxury, but control is survival. And if you want to survive as more than just a victim, you have to follow his darker rules. It begins here. There are 7 things you must never reveal to anyone. Not to your friends, not to your family, not to your partner. Because once these things leave your lips, you lose leverage. Rule 1. Never reveal your true intentions. You've been told to be upfront, to be clear about what you want. But here's what Machiavelli would whisper in your ear. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you really are. The moment people know your real destination, they'll begin placing obstacles in your path. They'll calculate how to slow you down. They'll gossip, sabotage, or quietly prepare to block your rise before you've even taken the first step. Your ambition threatens them, and when you expose it too early, you give them exactly what they need to fight you. So, what do you do instead? You let them guess. You let them underestimate you. You let them believe you're passive, harmless, even disinterested. While behind the curtain, you're building something they never saw coming. You don't say, I want that promotion. You say, I'm just here to learn. You don't say, I've lost interest. You say, we'll see. You don't declare war. You let them believe peace is permanent until the day it isn't. Because when your goals are invisible, your enemies can't strike what they cannot see. Rule 2. Never reveal your emotional weakness. Society tells you to be real, to be vulnerable. But here's the unspoken truth. What most people really mean is, show me where to stab. Every time you confess your loneliness, your insecurities, your fears, you think you're being authentic. What they hear is opportunity. And here's how it plays out. Someone smiles warmly when you open up. They nod like they understand. But the second that connection breaks, those same confessions become daggers. They won't attack your strengths. They'll attack the wounds you revealed. Machiavelli wasn't heartless. He was strategic. He knew that pretending to be vulnerable can be useful, but showing your true wounds, that must be guarded at all costs. So if you need to cry, do it alone. If you need to scream, swallow it. If you need to break, let it happen in silence. Because the more of your emotional world you hand over, the more control others will have over you. You can't always control your feelings, but you can control what you express. That isn't deception, it's defense. Rule 3. Never reveal your real alliances. You think loyalty is something to display proudly, to tell people who you trust, who your allies are. But in the world of power, loyalty on display is a liability. Because the moment people know you're allies, they know how to corner you. They know who to pressure, who to bribe, who to corrupt. That's how kingdoms fall, not by outside invasion, but by exposed alliances. Machiavelli warned, "It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver, and nothing deceives like a hidden network." So what do? In public, you act neutral. You're courteous to rivals, skeptical of friends, cordial with everyone. You let people wonder whose ear you really belong to. Let them waste time chasing rumors while you operate in silence. Because in war, and make no mistake, life is war. The greatest weapon is not strength, it's uncertainty. And there's nothing more terrifying than someone who smiles with everyone, but reveals loyalty to no one. Rule 4. Never reveal what truly motivates you. People love to ask this question. What drives you? What's your why? And if you answer honestly, you just exposed your control panel. You say, I just want to be loved. They now know you're emotionally hungry and they'll starve you into obedience. You say, I want to make my family proud. Now they can guilt trip you into submission. You say, I want to prove myself. Now silence becomes their weapon. Your motivation is not a story, it's a lever. And once they know which lever moves you, they'll pull it at their convenience, not yours. So here's how you play it. You give them surface motives. You say you're just curious, that you're still figuring things out, that you're exploring. Your mission sounds harmless, forgettable. While in private, you're building something far more dangerous. Your real motivation? Let them discover it from your results, not your mouth. That's the first 4 rules. But the list isn't finished, because the next 3, your hatreds, your sacrifices, and what you truly think of yourself are even more dangerous to reveal. And once you understand why, you'll see exactly how to move in this world, visible to all, but known by none. We've already uncovered 4 things you should never reveal: your intentions, your weaknesses, your alliances, and your true motivation. But the next 3 are even more dangerous, because once people know them, they don't just influence you, they own you. Rule 5. Never reveal what or who you despise. In a perfect world, telling people what offends you might earn respect. In reality, it paints a target on your back. The second you admit what disgusts you, people begin to use it against you. You say, I hate being ignored. Now every silence becomes a punishment. You say, I can't stand liars. Now lies will surround you, wrapped in careful excuses. You say, I hate being ghosted. Guess what? You'll be ghosted just for sport. Because the more you hate something, the more emotional power it has over you. Machiavelli understood this clearly. He advised rulers to act like both beast and man. Appear civil, but inside, remain untouchable. So, how do you defend yourself? By training emotional neutrality. That doesn't mean being passive. It means being unpredictable. When someone tests you with an insult, don't flinch. Don't show them whether it landed. Pretend you've got no skin at all. Because once people realize they don't know what buttons to push, they stop trying. Rule 6. Never reveal what you're willing to sacrifice. Most people think boundaries are enforced by stating them out loud. In the game of power, the opposite is true. The more you tell people what you'll never give up, the more they'll exploit it. Say, I'd never leave this job. Suddenly they underpay you and smile while doing it. Say, I'd never hurt them no matter what. Now they cheat emotionally, just under the radar. Say, this is the most important relationship in my life. Now they know they can show up late, give half, and you'll still stay. Congratulations, you've declared yourself non-threatening. Machiavelli taught rulers to always appear replaceable, but never actually be replaceable, and to always let others believe they can be replaced even when they can't. So instead of saying, I'll never leave, you say, I like it here for now. Instead of saying, I'd do anything for this, you say, I'll do what makes sense. It's not coldness, it's calculation. Because once they know what you're willing to die for, they won't demand it directly. They'll just chip away at everything around it until you surrender willingly. In a world where leverage is everything, clarity can be a trap. That's why you never hand someone your ultimate bargaining chip. Rule 7. Never reveal what you truly think of yourself. This is the most dangerous revelation of all. Not your opinion of others, but your opinion of you. If they know your inner valuation, they can control your reality. Confess that you doubt yourself, and they'll reinforce that doubt until it becomes your identity. Say you don't feel attractive, talented, or worthy, and they'll feed that belief back to you in subtle, cruel ways, jokes with sharp edges, compliments that cut, neglect disguised as accident. And if you swing the other way, if you declare that you're powerful, ambitious, destined for more, people will mark you for destruction, because nothing unnerves mediocrity more than someone rising. Most people don't want to hear about your greatness. They want your cracks, your confessions, your insecurities. That's what makes them feel safe around you. Machiavelli would remind you, men are so simple and so obedient to present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will let himself be deceived. Your greatest deception? Letting people think they know what you really are. So what do? You play roles. You act humble, curious, non-threatening. Let them underestimate you. Let them laugh while you quietly build something they'll never see coming. Because when people believe you're stagnant, they relax, and their laziness becomes your camouflage. At this point, you understand the 7 secrets you must guard. But Machiavelli's brilliance wasn't just in concealment, it was in how he weaponized silence. Silence is not emptiness. It's pressure. It makes people nervous. It makes them project their fears. It forces them to speak too much, revealing what you never had to ask. Your silence becomes a mirror. They fill it with their insecurities. They assign meaning to every pause, every unreadable glance, and in that tension, your power begins. Because the one who speaks least controls the frame. The world is addicted to noise, explanations, confessions, endless broadcasting. But you are Machiavellian now. You've deleted the urge to be understood. You've understood the truth. Once they know how you work, they can start working you. Silence is not retreat, it's dominance. And when you learn to master it, you'll realize something. Power doesn't require being the loudest. It requires being unreadable. Now you know the 7 secrets that must never leave your mouth. But here's the next layer. Concealment isn't just about silence. It's about weaponizing silence. Silence isn't absence. It isn't emptiness. It's tension. And tension makes people restless. When you hold silence, people start to overthink. They project their fears onto you. They begin to talk too much, confessing things you never asked, trying to fill the void you've created. Your silence becomes a mirror, and in that mirror, they see themselves. That's where your power begins. Because here's the law. The one who speaks least controls the emotional frame. The world is addicted to explanation. People feel guilty when they're misunderstood. They rush to clarify, to justify, to overshare. They post their feelings online, pour out their secrets in conversations, and think this vulnerability builds intimacy. But Machiavelli would say the opposite. He'd remind you, once they know how you work, they can work you. So you stop explaining. You stop giving people the blueprint of your mind. You let them wonder. You let them misinterpret, because their assumptions will always be more dangerous to them than the truth is to you. This is how correction works in Machiavellian silence. If someone disrespects you, you don't argue. You don't defend yourself. You don't raise your voice. You reposition. You cut their access. You slow your responses. You shift outcomes behind closed doors. That is Machiavelli's correction, not explosion, but erosion. They don't even know you did it, but they feel the weight of it. This is why Machiavelli warned that every visible battle costs something: your reputation, your time, your energy. But invisible battles, they cost nothing, and they win everything. So what do you do when someone challenges you, spreads rumors, or tries to discredit you? You don't panic. You don't defend. You don't chase. You let them talk themselves into exhaustion. Meanwhile, you work in silence. You tighten your circle. You stop sharing. You stay cold and focused. And one day, they wake up to find you sitting in the seat they thought was theirs. You didn't fight for it. You replaced them without noise, without warning. Your silence became your sword. Remember this: the one who must destroy others to rise is weak. The one who rises without noise becomes a legend. This is the art of illusion. Every sentence you speak must do one of two things. 1. Create an illusion. 2. Conceal an intention. Someone asks, "Are you trying to take the lead on this?" You smile and say, "I just want to contribute where I can." They say, "You've been acting different lately." You nod and reply, "Just focusing inward." These aren't lies. They're decoys. Words that seem harmless but give away nothing real. Because the more people waste time interpreting your words, the less time they have to prepare for your actions. Here's the paradox. You're not a ghost. You're not a wall. You're a mirror. And when people can't read you, they see only themselves. That's why they fear you, and that's why they respect you. Unreadable people are unshakable. You don't know what they want. You don't know what they fear. You don't know what would break them because they never show it. And that unreadability makes them untouchable, them. When you walk into a room and reveal nothing, something eerie happens. People sit straighter. They speak slower. They second-guess themselves. Not because you threatened anyone, but because you didn't reveal anything. That is Machiavelli's secret. It's not about being fake. It's about being strategic. So, here's how you move in the real world. You don't isolate yourself. You infiltrate. You play the game, but you play it with silence. At work, when they ask, "What's your next step?" you say, "Still figuring it out." When someone asks, "What do you really want?" you reply, "Peace, mostly." You give dust. You give vague truths that contain no leverage. Because here's the rule. Power decays when it becomes predictable. And you are now unpredictable by design. This doesn't just work in meetings or rivalries. It works everywhere. When someone disrespects you, you don't lash out. You don't waste your fire on public outbursts. You withdraw your warmth, your attention, your presence. And in that coldness, people feel the shift more deeply than any argument could deliver. Because silence doesn't just withhold energy, it repositions the entire dynamic. Now you're starting to see the bigger picture. Machiavelli didn't teach domination through noise. He taught infiltration through quiet. He knew that the ruler who smiles, nods, and agrees, while never revealing true allegiance, will always outlast the ones who rage, shout, and explain. The loud are seen. The reckless are feared. But the unreadable, the ones who reveal nothing, become myths. And myths cannot be defeated. We've established the power of silence and concealment, but Machiavelli's wisdom goes further. Silence isn't just a shield, it's gravity. The unreadable man doesn't chase attention. He doesn't explain himself. He doesn't try to be the loudest voice in the room. And yet, people orbit him. Why? Because silence forces others to fill in the blanks. And people always fill silence with fear, with admiration, or with suspicion. Think about it. The man who says nothing after betrayal. Terrifying. No one knows what he'll do next. The person who keeps their ambition hidden, unstoppable, because they might be playing 5 levels deeper than you realize. The one who stays neutral in chaos, feared, because it shows they're swayed by nothing, which means they might be controlled by nothing. This is what Machiavelli mastered, the art of perception. People judge more by what they see than by what they touch. And perception isn't shaped by what you reveal. It's shaped by what you withhold. Here's the rule. When people leave your life, you don't owe them closure. When people betray you, you don't owe them explanation. When people doubt you, you don't owe them proof. Your silence is the punishment. Your distance is the answer. Your glow-up is the obituary. Because here's the truth. People who violate your boundaries don't need teaching. They need denial of access. Machiavelli's darkest rule wasn't about cruelty, it was about containment. He believed, He who conquers himself is greater than he who conquers a city. And what does conquering yourself mean? It means mastering the urge to explain, to vent, to give people a map to your inner world. Once you silence that urge, you've taken back control. Now you walk differently. You don't speak to be understood, you speak to direct. You don't reveal your feelings, you reveal only what is useful. You don't justify your absence. Your absence is the message, and people feel it. They may never say it to your face, but deep down, they sense. I don't know what this person is thinking, but I know not to play with them. That's the climate you want to create, a psychological atmosphere of fear and fascination. You're no longer someone who can be casually defined. You're a presence people must adapt to, and here's the key. You don't have to manipulate anyone. You don't have to be cruel. You don't even have to control others. All you need to do is control the access point, what people know, what they see, what they feel entitled to. Close the gates, and suddenly, the kingdom is yours again. Now imagine this transformation in real time. You used to be the person who explained yourself when someone questioned you. Now, you let silence linger. You used to confess your goals. Now you speak in vague statements that reveal nothing. You used to argue when disrespected. Now you reposition without noise, and slowly, the world reacts differently to you. People begin to hesitate before crossing you. Their tone shifts. Their posture changes. Because uncertainty is more powerful than confrontation. Here's the paradox. People are more afraid of what they don't know than of what they can see clearly. If they can read you, they can plan around you. They can manipulate, prepare, and counter. But if they can't, they hesitate. They stall. They overthink, and hesitation is fatal. That's why Machiavelli urged rulers to cultivate unreadability. Not chaos, not noise, but calculated mystery. Because people don't fear cruelty, they fear the unknown. So from this point on, your task is not to be liked. It's not even to be understood. Your task is to become unreadable. Never let them know your next move. Never let them know what buttons to press. Never let them know what would break you. Because once they realize they can't decode you, they stop trying to control you. And that's the ultimate freedom. Remember this: the loud are obvious. The reckless are predictable. But the quiet man, the unreadable man, he is the one people whisper about long after he's gone. You don't need to shout. You don't need to announce your transformation. You only need to move in silence and let the results speak. Because the world doesn't respect what it can casually define. It respects what it struggles to understand. And when you become the mystery in the room, you become untouchable. Now you've learned the 7 secrets never to reveal. You've seen how silence can be more powerful than words. But the real transformation begins when you embody this discipline, when unreadability becomes your identity. Because in the end, Machiavelli didn't say, hide in the shadows. He said, become the shadow inside the room. Here's how you operate in the real world. You don't isolate yourself. You infiltrate. You sit in meetings, smile at their jokes, nod when they share their plans, but you reveal nothing real. When someone asks, what do you think of that person? You say, interesting. Haven't seen enough yet. When they ask, what's your next step? You say, still figuring it out. When they push, what are you really after? You say, peace, mostly. You give answers that sound like truth but carry no leverage. You hand them smoke instead of substance. Why? Because power decays when it becomes predictable. And you are now unpredictable by design. Power doesn't always look like dominance. Sometimes, it looks like the quiet hand that adjusts a system without ever being seen doing it. Let others rage. Let others correct publicly. Let others show their egos. You correct silently. You adjust outcomes privately. You make the shift behind the curtain, and no one can trace it back to you. That is the Machiavellian correction erosion, not explosion. They don't even realize you've acted until the ground beneath them has already shifted. Think of how this plays out. Someone disrespects you. You don't argue, you don't shout. You simply slow your responses, reduce their access, and quietly redirect opportunities away from them. Someone spreads rumors. You don't defend yourself. You let them talk while you work in silence. And one day, they wake up to find you in the position they thought belonged to them. They can't stop you because they never saw the move. That's the essence of Machiavelli's strategy. Invisible victories. Remember, people always reveal themselves when they talk too much. That's why your words must do one of two things: create illusion or conceal intention. Every sentence must add fog. Every silence must add pressure. Every move must add doubt. Because the more people struggle to decode you, the less energy they have to attack you. You're not lying. You're distorting the lens. You're forcing others to misinterpret. And while they burn energy chasing shadows, you move freely. But the highest level of this game isn't about words at all. It's about presence. Because in the end, perception is power. If you've mastered concealment, people won't even know if you're winning or losing. They'll simply feel uneasy around you. They'll second-guess themselves in your presence. They'll wonder what you're thinking, even when you're thinking nothing at all. And that uncertainty is more terrifying than any declaration of strength. Here's the final transformation. You no longer speak to be heard. You speak only to direct. You no longer reveal what you feel. You reveal only what is useful. You no longer justify your actions. Your absence itself is the message. People begin to sense it. They may never say it out loud, but in their chest they feel, I don't know what this person is thinking, but I know not to play with them. That's what silence buys you. That's what secrecy earns. That's what hiding your deepest truths creates: a climate of fear and fascination. You are no longer a person they can casually define. You are now a presence they must adapt to. And when that shift happens, you don't need to dominate every battle. You don't need to argue for respect. You don't even need to explain yourself. Because now you've become unreadable, and unreadable people are unshakable. This is why Machiavelli said, "He who conquers himself is greater than he who conquers a city." By conquering the urge to overshare, to over-explain, to reveal, you've reclaimed your kingdom. By closing the gates of your inner world, you've built a fortress no one can breach. By mastering silence, you've turned absence into influence, unpredictability into fear, and mystery into respect. So remember this: never reveal your intentions. Never reveal your weaknesses. Never reveal your alliances. Never reveal your motivation. Never reveal your hatreds. Never reveal your sacrifices. Never reveal what you truly think of yourself. Because once you do, the world owns you. But when you withhold, when you control the flow of information, you own the world. From this point forward, move silently inside the system. Let others talk. Let others expose themselves. Let others waste energy proving their worth. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to be feared. You don't even need to be loved. You only need to be unreadable, because the one who cannot be read cannot be stopped. That is Machiavelli's final warning and his greatest gift.